Yo, what is up once again, everybody? You know who it is. This is Kevin from the Chord. Wait, that didn't sound right. The Chord. No, it sounds the same, whatever. The Chord Progression Podcast brought to you by my song of the day, Rock 2000 to today. What's going on, everybody? How's it hanging? How you doing? All that kind of jazz. Excited for you to be here because we've got another great episode and another band interview to go over. But that's not the only thing we have to go over because there's some new music, new singles, and some new music announcements that we have to go over because, well, this past Friday, it was one hell of a day in music, rock music specifically. So before we get into everything, you know what time it is. It's time for Kevin's shameless plugs. Mostly because, well, if we had actual advertising besides me trying to plug the rest of the My Song of the Day stuff, this is where it would go. But it doesn't have a place to go, so I'm just going to plug the My Song of the Day stuff. If this is your first time listening to the Chord Progression Podcast, I want to give you a huge welcome. Mostly because, well, you deserve a welcome. Welcome to the family. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you listen all the way through and let us know what you think on all our social platforms. Links in the description on this podcast due to the fact that that's going to be the easiest place to find. Now, my phone buzzed. What is that? Oh, that's a confirmation from the band. This is going to be awesome. Okay, so what else do we have going on when it comes to the shameless plugs? If you're a return listener, welcome back. Love to have you. You guys are awesome. You know, if you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, I almost said Google Play, or YouTube, you know, I'm happy to have you here. But if you're a first-time listener, like, where can I find all these? That's where you can find every single one of them, up to your preference on what you want. Now, when it comes to our social platforms, we're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube. So what can you expect out of all those? Again, links for all of them in the description below. For Facebook, what you can expect is just, you know, finding out what the song of the day is, finding out when the podcasts come out, finding out, you know, just some big announcements, and taking a look at the podcast preview videos, about a minute long, just to kind of get you in the mood of what's going on. On Twitter, that's where we talk to you guys about all things new music. And on Instagram, that's where we talk to you guys about all things new music and music. Also connect with you guys a lot more when it comes to IGTV videos where we go behind the scenes and I talk to you about what's actually going on here. And not only that, we go into our Instagram live streams every Wednesday night where you come to us, you ask us questions, and we answer them. On our YouTube page, I mean, we release videos every single Wednesday regarding, you know, our band reviews where we review a band's overall body of work. We ask questions, we answer them. We do album reviews, and if we've got more than one album coming out on like a weekend or something, yeah, we'll put out one Monday and we'll put out one Wednesday. So, yeah, always a fun time. So, follow, and also we have an Amazon Alexa skill. Now, why am I saying that a lot softer? Because I have the Amazon Echo in my room where I'm shooting this from. Yeah, because I'm still grassroots as all hell, so I'm shooting this in my bedroom. And, well, yeah, if you checked out the podcast preview video, oh yeah, you'll always be able to tell that I'm in there right now. But I've got the Amazon Echo sitting right there, so we have an Amazon Alexa skill where you can listen to every single song of the day choice. So I say is, Alexa, play my song of the day, and she will respond with playing your song of the day. You'll get a 5-second intro from me, and then the song will play in its entirety. Once it's over, boom, it's done. If you want to listen again, you just say the exact same thing. It's on there for about 24 hours, and then the next day, boom, you've got a brand new song. It'll help you rediscover old bands you once loved. It'll help you discover new bands you didn't know existed. Our small band Saturdays, you'll be able to discover what the small bands actually sound like. And not only that, but it's a great way to get your day going, get you through the middle of the day blues, end your day just rocking all the time. So go check that out. Link in the description below. So, again, that's enough for a shameless plug. Screw that. Alrighty, well, to start out with, we're going to do interview time. It's interview time. So, this past week on our live stream, we had some, you know, a lot of newcomers, actually, which I was really surprised about. And through our small band Saturday promotion, trying to talk with these small bands, where I'm like, okay, you know, what are we going to do? How's it going to sound? I'm like, okay, so now more people are starting to show up. This is fantastic. One of the questions I actually got, because I was talking about our previous podcast where we interviewed the band Kingdom Collapse out of San Antonio, one of the small band Saturday guys asked me, you know, hey, how can one band get on the podcast? And all I said was, send me a DM, dude. And we set it up, and now we're going to call them. So the band is called Trivial Difference. If I'm correct, they're out of Alexandria. Alexandria, Virginia. So right outside of DC. I've actually been there before, which is kind of cool. I'll tell the story to the guys a little bit because it involves pizza and ice cream and me playing soccer. So nothing too spectacular, but it's just because I know where their hometowns and I get to hobnob around there when I was 17. Kind of cool. So interesting. They are a thrash metal band, as they have told me, even though I have listened to their stuff. And yes, I do agree they are thrash metal. So, without further ado, let's give the guys a call. And I know the guy's name is Michael. I don't know what part of the band he plays, but shall we find that out? Let's. Alrighty, we're going to give him the call. Hopefully everything's turned on. Everything's turned on, and if, again, they don't pick up, I'm going to be embarrassed to all hell, because this is going to be...
Hey!
Hey, Michael, what's up?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I am doing absolutely fantastic. This is insane. You got the whole band there, or is it just you?
Yeah, it's all Trivial Difference. If you don't mind, can we all introduce ourselves?
Oh, hell yeah. You kidding me?
All right, Ian.
All right, my name's Ian Diamato. I'm the drummer for Trivial Difference.
I'm Michael Leva. I'm the lead guitarist.
Evan Donison, I'm rhythm guitar.
I'm Thomas Bruno. I'm the vocalist.
I'm Gannon, I play bass.
And then we have our band manager, Jonathan.
Hello.
Oh, man, we got 6 guys here. Holy shit. That's probably the biggest amount of people I've had at one time on the podcast when it comes to a band. Usually I get like 2 or 3 when it comes to the bands, but this is absolutely insane.
Yeah, we have the whole band plus an extra who's he's here to make sure that we stay behaved.
I want them to give you the full experience.
Well, but the full experience might not be, it might just be us kind of just rambling on about whatever. I mean, just...
I'm down for that.
Yes! Alrighty, well, to start out with, because, again, some of the listeners, actually probably most of the listeners, have really no idea who you guys are. So this is your chance right now, and this is what I want you to do. Give us the rundown. Who are you guys? Where are you from? And what kind of style of music do you play? And we'll take it from there.
Well, we are, our name is Trivial Difference. We're a thrash metal band based out of Alexandria, Virginia.
Right near DC.
Yeah, right near DC. Does anyone else want to touch on that?
Formed in 2014.
Yeah,
2015.
2015.
August of 2015.
Yeah, and it was originally a 3-man group, and then it expanded to be a 5-man.
All right. All right, very nice, guys. When I first got the message from you saying you were guys that were out of Alexandria, Virginia, I kind of chuckled at that due to the fact that I did a hobnob around there at one point when I was like 17 because I had when I was playing high school soccer, we had 2 games that were actually out in D.C. and we were wondering what to do one night, and the whole entire team just went to Alexandria, Virginia, and we just were, I think we just ransacked a pizza place or something,
Wait, which pizza place?
still do that.
I can't remember. This was back in like fall of 2012.
Fuck.
Wow.
All I remember was like it had like I think it had like multiple stories to it. I think that might be it.
All right.
There's really not much to do around here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, no. This entire area is just dead.
Decrepit.
So then, do you guys just spend most of your time out in DC?
No,
most,
that's where we play. That's where we
most
play.
shows we play are in DC, but
For
as
fun.
of late, we've been going out to Baltimore because we've been invited. But we're actually getting ready to go on tour on July 1st. We're gonna take our first stop at a bar called The Pinch in DC. And then eventually we're going to make our way down to Virginia Beach to play at the Chesapeake Riff. Is it the Riff House?
Yep.
Yeah.
In Chesapeake, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Keep it short.
Ooh, very nice, guys. So when you're on this tour that you're starting on July 1st, are you just kind of staying in that DC, Virginia area and kind of moving around there? Or are you expanding further along the East Coast?
Well, as of right now, our farthest reach is Chesapeake. We did play in Baltimore a couple times. We are playing with this band from Richmond, Chesapeake, and they want us to come down to Richmond sometime. I also have some friends in Leesburg in Lynchburg who want us to play. So we definitely have options, but right now we haven't really acted upon them.
You guys definitely have to explore those options, though, and really get notoriety out there, just because another way you're going to, get people to notice you is by going to these shows and playing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's pretty much what we've been doing. We've basically been grabbing up every option that we can so far, and just
Rolling with it.
doing our best.
Been hitting about one show a month, making sure we get our monthly show in, and then get time to write what we're writing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, right now I think we're good with the whole monthly show. I kind of want to bump it up to 2, but also I want to also have time to have time to sit down and write for our debut album, which is a while from now, but
When are you guys shooting for that debut album, though, now that you're talking about it? Do you have like a specific date you want it done by? Or are you going to let the writing process take care of itself?
we don't have any specific date, but we're shooting
Before we die.
before we die.
I mean,
Before-
basically, it's really in the pre-planning stage at this point.
Yeah.
As of right now, it's really just kind of, gathering material, playing shows here and there, and then
We do have our EP out,
progressing.
but the album, it really isn't going to sound much like the EP at all. It's almost a completely different sound with completely different like patterns, and it's just different. It's a lot thrashier. The lyrics are about a lot deeper topics.
Topics.
A lot deeper topics, things like that. It's going to be better. We
Yeah.
like it more. We really like the stuff we're working on right now. We think people are going to enjoy it.
See, I came in as a bit of an outsider, but from what I can hear and the way it's coming out is that the original, when Toxic was originally recorded, it was more punky sounding. We added a few things to make it sound thrashier, but this album is going to just blow the new Toxic EP out of the water.
Yeah, the EP doesn't really hold a candle to what's coming.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was kind of interested in hearing due to the fact that when I first listened to the EP, I really was focusing in on the punk aspects of it due to the fact that I'm a huge punk rocker myself. Again, I don't play at all. I haven't played drums since I was 14. But like when it comes to the genre, I really pick up on a lot of that. So right when I heard it, I thought, okay. But then I remember talking with Michael about it, and he was talking about you guys were going more of a thrash direction. And if you guys are talking about how on the album you're really going to explore a lot of that, then I'm very curious to hear how that's going to come out. And I'm also a huge fan of the fact that you don't have like a set date to have it out there, because you're going to let the writing process take care of itself, and you're not going to try and rush into anything.
Yeah, we want to make sure that what we put out is something that we're proud of. We don't want to, we don't want to push a deadline. We want it to be proud. We want to be proud of it.
Yeah. And going back to the punk, I mean, thrash metal was basically a step up from the DC hard punk scene. Basically, just combining their songs into like one long song, and then just going harder. And that's basically what we're doing right now.
Artie, what was the biggest thing when it came to you guys like trying to go focusing on thrash, just due to the fact that I'm curious to see how this kind of turned out, and again, kind of know why you guys got to this point and why this is your passion.
Well, actually, so when Trivial Difference started, it was Ian, me, and this other guitarist that we used to have in the band. He was a huge punker. That's why that was the reason why the EP sounds the way it does. Is because we had a huge punk influence in the band, and Ian and I are completely like thrash metal heads. So once we had a couple lineup changes and we reworked some things, we're now just completely like pure thrash.
Yeah.
We have no more punk influence in the band at all.
Well, I wouldn't really say no more punk influences, because thrash metal is basically the step up from punk.
Yeah, from how I understand it, thrash metal is essentially just punk and metal fused together to an extent.
No. Thrash metal is, from my understanding, it's the DC hardcore scene, basically just sped up and
Longer songs.
Pretty much took that intensity and cranked it up times 100.
Yeah.
You basically
About
turned
that.
the amp to 11 on this one, didn't you guys?
Yeah. Beyond, honestly.
Fucking Spinal Tap.
Hell yeah! You can't go down without making a Spinal Tap reference. I usually use the crank it up to 11 reference at least once a day.
Yeah.
Why don't you
Honestly,
just make it louder?
Are you really living if you don't make that reference every day?
No, not really. Especially like when I'm at my full-time job, because I still have to have a full-time job to finance this whole entire project I got going, because I want to make this thing what I'm doing for the rest of my life. But I end up always making that reference to somebody within the company, and they always look at me like I'm a ghost or something, like I've seen a ghost. They have no clue what I'm talking about. I'm like, guys, it's Spinal Tap. But then again, I'm pretty sure they don't even know what Spinal Tap is.
Yeah, it's unfortunate references like that are kind of dying out.
Which is sad.
Yeah.
It is, especially because I look around, like, when I'm at work, I look around, look at everybody's desk. Everyone's got, like, pictures of their family, or people have, like, a bunch of bobbleheads up. And then they come to my desk, and the two things that you see that stand out are a Rise Against poster and a 30 Seconds to Mars poster. People are like, what? And the Rise Against one, that someone told me that I should take that down because it could be seen as very, just, protest and anti. I'm like, it's a punk band. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's the whole purpose behind this thing.
Exactly. And plus, well, it's fun to have that on there as well. It's makes the day a lot nicer.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so before Trivial Difference ever got started with all of you guys, because I'm always curious to hear the story about how you got into the music you guys got into. So what was it like growing up? What really influenced you to get into, start a band and go towards, we already talked about going towards that thrash direction, but what really influenced you as a kid to get into music?
Well, me specifically, I have been playing music. I've been listening to music ever since I was like a baby. My dad and I would just chill in his van, drop Ian off at preschool, and we just chill in the van and eat donuts and listen to the Saint Anger album because it just came out right after I was born. So I was always a metalhead, and then I started playing cello in 4th grade. And I just started getting like music theory training, and I was taking like 6 cello classes at once, and I was doing all that. And then the summer after 7th grade, Ian and our other old member, Ian had just started playing drums about a year or two prior, and the old guitarists had just started playing guitar, and they were like, "Hey, you know a lot about music. You should play bass." And I basically told them to fuck off because I didn't want to play bass. I just wanted to keep playing cello. And they badgered me for about 6 months. And I was like, fine, I'll learn the song. And I actually showed up to our first practice with a cello.
Wait, really?
Yes.
Okay, so are you guys going to include the cello in any music at all?
We actually plan to.
We actually do plan on doing it for the album. We won't get into many details about it, but we do plan on it.
Yes, I love the inclusion of strings on it because it always gives the song a more anthemic feel, especially if it's done correctly.
Basically like Be All End All by Anthrax.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll say so. All right, what about the rest of you guys? Because we got one down, and I know we got 4 more to go. So let's go to the next one.
So the guy you just heard is Gannon, the bassist. He's been my best friend for about 9 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
9 years. I met him in 3rd grade, and he was always listening to that shit. And at first, I'd always listen. My mom always got me into like my dad got me into like Led Zeppelin and Van Halen and shit.
Smart parents.
Yeah, but they're not. But,
Okay, when it comes to music.
Yeah. But they also had me in my dad as a vocalist. My dad had been singing with the Metropolitan. My dad's been singing his entire life. He sang with the Metropolitan Opera for 12 years in New York. He was one of the youngest people ever. He was one of the youngest people ever to join the Metropolitan Opera at the age of 22.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and he sang with them for 12 years. So he was always singing when I was a kid, and I sang with him at the National Cathedral in Arlington when I was 11. So I'm a pretty good vocalist. It's not exactly the same style my dad does, and whether he's proud of me or not of it, that's debatable. But I remember metal. I actually remember the night this guy next to me, Gannon, showed me Metallica on the way back from a Yo-Yo Ma concert.
Yeah.
Whoa, I haven't heard Yo-Yo Ma in years.
Yep.
Yeah, my grandfather took us to a Yo-Yo Ma concert on the way back. I was like, "Here's this song called Enter Sandman." By
And I was just kind of like, "Whoa!" me, a little 7th grader, and I started listening to so much Metallica, so much Nirvana. In 8th grade, I added Avenged Sevenfold. In 9th grade, I listened to all the fucking rock and roll in the world. Like I broadened my rock and roll genre, and then last year, 10th grade, I'm a junior. I just finished junior year, but in 10th grade, I got into death metal.
Why'd you
death metal, thrash metal, black metal, all that pee-pee hole caca love you.
God damn it.
I love it so much. And I would never give it up. But I've been trying to get into this band for 4 years, and now I'm finally in it, and I've never been happier. This is finally I'm finally so happy with what I'm doing.
Hell yeah, that's what I like to hear because, again, when it comes to life, we only get one shot at it, so might as well do what makes you happy instead of doing what makes somebody else happy, right?
Right. Yeah. That's ultimately what we do with our music is we do it for ourselves more than other people. Like if other people are happy with it, then it's great. But
Well, that's how it should be too, because you should be making the music that you want to make. You shouldn't be making a kind of music that you think is going to become more popular, or think that's going to sell more tracks or sell more records, sell more albums. See, even I do it too when I mess up with my talking. But then it just becomes more authentic to you if you're really writing what you want to write about, because hell, you're the ones that are doing it.
yeah.
All right, Evan, your influences?
So for me, I always grew up listening to metal music because my dad was a huge metalhead back in the 80s. My dad and my stepdad were both in bands, so that really kind of influenced me to pick up the guitar and start, learning how to make music. And I listened to Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, like so many metal bands, and I wanted to expand the music I listened to because I really got into it. I devoted my life to it, and when Trivial Difference came around about a year and a half ago, and they said they wanted to audition me and have me in the band, that was just a dream come true for me.
Sounds perfect already. We're 3 down, 2 to go, right?
Yeah.
Oh, here comes Michael.
Yeah.
God.
Please stop me if I go on too
All
long.
right.
So, I grew up listening to a lot of music, but
All right, stop.
okay, thank you. All right, Ian. No, so I grew up listening to a lot of music, but not a lot of rock and roll. I actually grew up listening to a lot of salsa because my parents are both Hispanic, and I was always interested in hearing the guitars. And I think it was the first time I heard a guitarist I was like really amazed by was Lucio de Paco playing Entre dos Aguas, which is means between two waters, and the flamenco guitar in that just boggled my mind. And eventually, that was when I was a kid, and then jumped to 9th grade. My mom brings home a Guns N' Roses CD, and it's like I used to listen to these guys back when they first released Appetite for Destruction, and I heard this guitar solo from Welcome to the Jungle, and I was like, I want to do that. And I immediately started looking into buying a guitar. I picked up my first guitar when I was 15. I taught myself how to play it, taught myself to write music, taught myself theory. And eventually it branched from Guns N' Roses to Gary Moore and blues and B.B. King to why is everyone pointing at me? to Metallica. And then hearing Metallica for the first time, I heard Metal Militia, and that really just amazed me. And that was when I knew I was like, all right, this kind of metal is really my thing. And eventually, my first band I joined, it was a pop punk band called Goldensmith, which is now defunct. But my first band I joined in when I was 4 months into playing. It broke up a couple years ago, and then I joined a second band, and then I got removed from it for reasons. My third band formed in 3 days and went absolutely fucking nowhere. And then my fourth band, a friend of mine told me that Trivial Difference is looking for a lead guitarist, and I told them like, yeah, no, sure, hook me up with them. And then Ian texted me, he's like, hey, this is Ian from Trivial Difference, and then told me like, learn these songs, here's your audition date, get to work. And then I come in for the audition, and the rest is history. Yeah. And I've never been happier in a band because I've actually we've actually gotten stuff done.
I'm just surprised you haven't been playing guitar through this interview.
Yeah, no, they forced me to put my guitar away.
Michael never shuts up.
Yeah, I know. Them allowing me to be a part of the band just was an absolute joy, because honestly, my dream is to be a musician as a career, and I feel like I'm actually getting closer to that dream.
Very nice. And when it comes to that, I mean, working on what your dream is, that's going to be something that's going to drive you through the rest of whatever you do. and that's
Yeah.
going to be your sheer focus on everything. And trust me, I totally understand that. And don't worry, you didn't go on too long. And I'm actually kind of intrigued if you would have been playing your guitar throughout the whole entire thing. But pretty sure the rest of the guys over there probably would have wanted to smash that thing into pieces after about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I would smash their head into a wall if they did.
We're a lot of angry young people with short tempers.
Yeah.
All right. The last person, which is the least important member of the band.
Stop clapping yourself.
Okay.
All right. Stop sucking
fucking
your dick. Don't suck
drummer.
your own dick.
I said I'm the least important. All right.
We all
anyway.
know that means the opposite.
Okay. So basically, my interest in music got started when my dad would take me to preschool, listening to.
Oh, I already told this story.
Yeah, listening to the Saint Anger record, which people will have mixed feelings on, but that personally has like a lot of impact in my life. So yeah, my first record was that, and then I basically stopped listening to music for like, I'd say 6 years. And then I got back into music listening to Ozzy Osbourne. I can recall stealing my uncle's MP3 player and listening to Crazy Train at school in 3rd grade. And so then I moved back to Virginia and started playing alto saxophone. Played that for a year and also did chorus on the side. And then got into drumming. And then that's when I started listening to Avenged Sevenfold.
Yes.
Yeah, and I started branching out from there. Started from Avenged Sevenfold to Iron Maiden to Metallica, and then I like splintered off into like several different bands and categories, like Metallica, Slayer, Slipknot, Pantera, some death metal, some rap, some fucking bluegrass. And actually one of the bands that really influenced me was my dad's band, Unfiltered Impulse, because he would take me to his practices and his shows, and that like really inspired me to start playing music.
All right,
So,
very nice.
yeah.
But now I got another question, because you guys kept bringing up the Saint Anger album, where one of you guys was going to preschool, one of you guys was like basically a little like younger than that.
Yeah,
How
we're
old are
brothers.
you guys? I mean, because you guys are. I'm pretty sure you guys are gonna make me feel really old after you say it.
I am 18. This is Ian.
I'm 18. I'm Michael. I just turned 18.
I'm 20. I'm Evan.
I'm 17. I'm Thomas.
And I'm 17. I play bass.
You're Ganon.
He just turned 17. He
Yeah, I
was
just
16
turned
like
17.
a week ago.
A week ago.
God, you guys are making me feel old. Holy shit!
What's
Yeah, Ganon and Ian are brothers, by the way.
what is your age, Sonny?
Well, let me tell you, you little whippersnapper. I'm 24.
Okay.
I guess not that bad.
Oh, Jonathan's 24.
Hey, Jonathan, what's up?
No, I'm 24. I turned 25 in August.
Oh shit.
After 19.
All right, well, I'm still not the oldest here because I turned 25 in December, so hell yeah. Woohoo!
Oh, god damn it. Fucking old fart. Old hag.
I will end your night.
Jonathan's a fossil and I love it.
And you're a fucking idiot.
Oh my god.
Things are getting tense up in this podcast,
Don't hurt me.
guys.
Well, I,
me, Jonathan!
I literally bring up age, and now all of a sudden you guys are beating each other up over this. I mean,
Like and subscribe for new podcasts.
Please, God.
Promoting.
Damn it.
All right, what's the next question, my friend?
well, now I'm curious just because a lot of you guys were talking about Metallica, and especially with everyone seemed like, at some point in time, Metallica was a major part of your growing up years and what you guys were listening to, especially because that's what your parents were kind of getting into. So was that really one of the bands that kind of really brought you guys all together and helped out building your band's chemistry?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think it's pretty much an understatement that Metallica has influenced a lot of music. Not just us. They influenced basically all of metal today. Some rap artists, even Lady Gaga, they influenced her. I mean, it's really not really describable of how much of an impact that they have. I mean, the first song that the old Trivial Difference learned was For Whom the Bell Tolls, or maybe Seek and Destroy. And yeah, I mean, their music isn't like super complicated, but it's super easy to get into, for me at least.
I think it's that way for a lot of people too, just given the fact that they've transcended multiple different generations when it comes to their music.
Yeah, like I think it's hard now to find a musician or an artist that hasn't heard that name or a song in general, you know?
Or just hasn't heard the whole entire intro to Enter Sandman because it's pretty much synonymous right now with like anything.
I call them metal liquor.
Stop.
Thank you, Thomas.
I call them melodica.
Melodica.
Oh, don't worry. When I first saw my dad's like, oh, it's Metallica. I'm like, oh, Metallica?
Metallica.
Metallica.
Alcoholica.
Alcohol.
Drink them all.
Drink them all.
Drink them all, enjoy them. But the fact that you guys are this young and are really starting to gain some traction, you guys have a huge opportunity ahead of yourselves. I'm not going to mince words on that due to the fact that you guys are under the age of 21 at this point. You have found something that you really are driving at and really find a lot of joy doing. So you found the thing that makes you happy in life.
Yeah,
and
I mean,
so when it comes down to it, you really want to just focus on that. Am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, going back to the Metallica thing, I just want to put out there, my dad, like, he likes Pantera a lot, but I remember at first it was really tough for me with the whole metal thing because he was like, I hate Metallica more than anything on this earth. And I don't know why. He just does. I think it's because of the whole thing with Napster that happened, but he really just hates them. He says everything they do is repetitive. Meanwhile, he loves Pantera. He loves Pantera. Like I remember he showed me I'm Broken. He used to hum that riff in the car when I was like 10. And I didn't know what that song was called until I found it years later, and I was like, holy shit, this riff has been in my childhood, you know?
Yeah.
That was the entire band of System of a Down for me.
Really?
Yeah.
That was the riff for Sweet Child of Mine to me.
That was Saint Anger, the song for me.
Stanger.
For me with Metallica, I don't share the same opinions as Ian and Gannon about Saint Anger. I don't dislike it, but it's definitely not my favorite. I don't like the production quality, but I also appreciate how raw it just feels. Because it's just unfiltered at that point. It's just absolute pure raw emotion, and that honestly is what makes me enjoy the music. I just can't really get past the production quality. But that's my only gripe.
That was the point.
I know, but that's my only gripe. That's my only gripe with the album itself. Otherwise,
we're not here to critique Saint Anger.
Well, I'm not. I'm just mentioning it.
So
Metallica for me, it's what got me into the, Guns N' Roses got me to play guitar, and I took a lot of influence from there. But Metallica is really what got me into that. Oh shit, this is cool. This guy, Kirk Hammett can shred like a motherfucker. Why don't I try and do that? And then that's when I really got serious about playing lead guitar. I was like, I want to be better than Kirk Hammett. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it'll never happen. But I want it to be better.
Oh, we're saying it's never happened. Now I'm disappointed in you, sir, because what is it? I'm trying to think. What is the phrase? Because
no
it's
one can be Kirk Hammett. He's just unique.
Well, don't try to be Kirk Hammett.
Exactly. No one can be Kirk Hammett.
yourself,
so
Mike,
no one can be
fucking
better than
up,
Kirk Hammett than Kirk Hammett.
Order in the court.
well. I'll put it this way. I think the quote is: "Those who say who they can and those who say they can't are both usually right." So. A little disappointed in you because that seems like, you could definitely be reaching for the stars or shooting the moon, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're not going to make it as good as Kirk did, but then all of a sudden you might just be the step lower than him, which is absolutely fucking phenomenal.
No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying like, okay, let me rephrase what I said. I don't mean like I will never be as good as Kirk Hammett. I just mean I will never be.
Michael, you can do it, you forehead. You got it. All right, so Ian, your turn.
Oh, yeah.
You call me a fucking forehead.
Your turn.
All right. So, not to really plug this, but to plug this, we have our own podcast, and like 2 months ago, we brought on another musician in the local scene, and he basically said that he got really big Metallica vibes from seeing us live.
Wait, you guys have a podcast too?
Yeah, it's called the Trivial Difference Podcast. Creative name.
It doesn't even have to be creative. I mean, I was trying to come up with a name. I was going to pick, the My Song of the Day podcast because that just sounded really wacky. I wanted to just put something out there. I'm like, just something random and simple. I just landed on chord progression because I'm like, you know what? Why not?
Yeah.
So the Trivial Difference podcast is not bad. I mean, I think Skillet pretty much did the same thing. They've got the Skillet podcast that's like once a month.
Yeah, they do. We're being compared to Skillet now.
Yes.
Okay, guys, fuck off. Skillet is not bad.
Oh my god.
I have to disagree with you guys.
The Skillet. I'm just laughing because of the Skillet podcast. Okay, continue.
What, you guys don't like the Skillet podcast name? I think
love
it's
it.
simple as all hell.
I love the Skillet podcast. If I was ever to name anything, if I had a child, I would name it the Skillet podcast.
All right, now I'm gonna definitely make sure these guys hold you to it. So your firstborn kid's name is the Skillet podcast.
On the record, Thomas's firstborn child will be named the Skillet podcast.
The Skillet podcast Huffman Bruno.
Okay, so when he gets married, what you guys have to do is you guys have to make sure that this podcast is played for his wife, so she knows that the kid's name is going to be just that.
Company policy.
It's gonna be a boy named Sue situation. He's gonna have to grow up tough and be like, "Is your name the Skillet podcast?" He's gonna be like, "Yeah, it is." That's a stupid name.
Oh yeah, but my face can grill shit.
Right.
Hey, it could be worse. I mean, you could name him Chalupa Batman, but that'd actually be kind of funny.
It's worse.
Hold up. Care to
Sweet fucking reference. I will love that.
I'm glad you picked up on that. Hell yeah!
Hey, at least it's better than being named Ganon.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious that you say that though, because we have a dog named Logan, and
Logan.
Yeah, we also have
Does he wear glasses?
we have a little niece, and her and Logan get along very, very well. So for her birthday, we got her a little plush toy that looked like the dog, and we named him Chalupa Batman.
Yes.
Chalupa Batman.
No, Chalupa Logan. Chalupa Logan.
Well, yeah, I get the Chalupa Logan, but I love the mix on with Chalupa Batman because that is just, oh man, that just makes me happy.
See, us old folk aren't that bad.
You might learn a thing or two.
Just gotta start watching the league. That's all you gotta do.
Exactly.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Thomas is currently having a seizure. Give us a sec. He's not actually.
I'm not actually having a seizure.
He's
I'm
being
just-
weird.
Oh, it's that time of the night.
Time for my-
practice.
Time for my nightly seizure.
I was saying, what is the time of the night? What is it, a full moon? All of a sudden, you're gonna start ripping through your clothes and you're gonna grow hair and become the Wolfman?
I kind of just do that every night.
Yeah.
And I always,
He hasn't become the Wolfman. He is
He's
the
got enough
Wolfman.
hair for it.
yeah, I do have enough hair. I'm like, if I take my shirt off, it's like,
Welcome to the jungle.
yeah, exactly.
Oh man, you guys are absolutely killing me right now. I am loving this.
Like I remember my girlfriend is able to braid my shoulder hair.
Wait, whoa. Okay, there's gotta be some kind of a story behind this that I gotta
So
hear.
basically, when I
that is the story. It's the fact that
okay, so basically, when my dad nutted in my mom, my genetics said.
Okay, not that far back.
Hold on,
The
I wanna
DNA
cut it.
said-
No, Thomas, shut the fuck up.
The DNA said, okay, this guy's gonna have some long ass shoulder hair that he can braid, and then everyone's gonna comment on it. So everyone comments on it, and people can braid my shoulder hair, and it's never changed.
Dude, I kind of can see that because this was like 6 years ago at this point, or 7 years ago even. My buddy tried braiding his leg hair.
Dude, that's
oh
awesome.
my god.
Dude, your buddy's a legend. You should buy him a Coke.
Totally. Just buy him a Coke. Nothing else. Just a Coke.
Well, he's in the other room. I'll get him one later.
Okay, that
yeah,
works.
yeah.
That works.
All
Tell him
right.
I admire him, and that we can be the braiding body hair gang.
God,
Oh my
damn it.
god, Thomas, I'm revoking your speaking rights.
All we need now is a friend with some really.
Well, he's also braided his beard too. I've seen him put like the beard ornaments in there during Christmas
braid
time.
each
It is
other.
freaking amazing.
No.
Oh, now you got me
You
thinking.
better do it.
Now you got me. Now you got me thinking. Right? I can't say this on podcast, but now
No,
you got
shut
me
the
thinking.
fuck up.
He's gonna get beard ornaments. He's gonna put them in his shoulder braids. That's pretty much what's gonna happen at that point.
Yeah, totally.
He'll be the most festive man in the band.
We should play a fucking Christmas show with Thomas growing out a beard.
We've actually gotten a lot of comments like from our shows that say like hair metal band of the 2020s.
Yeah.
They're referring to us.
Yeah, there's a lot of hair going on.
Yeah, a lot of hair going.
A lot
on.
of poof.
That is absolutely hilarious. You could definitely play off of that too, especially using that as kind of like a marketing tool for your band. If you want it, though, that's all on you guys. If you really want to go that route or use that as a catalyst.
Yeah. This one would be the most expensive.
Alrighty, well, moving on because I think we've talked enough about hair at this point.
Yes.
I love my hair.
Fuck off.
Well, I know you love your hair, but do we have to spend like 10 more minutes on it?
No.
Well, yeah,
One
Let's keep going.
more question. Do you love my hair?
Go.
Well, I don't know. I've never seen your hair.
Exactly.
Just say yes.
Can I give you a maybe?
No, I will only take a yes. An absolute yes.
I love your hair. Ian.
Continue, my friend.
Continue.
All right, continue, please.
Alrighty, well, because you guys, again, are from Alexandria, Virginia. You guys are around that D.C. area. What's that scene like? Because I have not been out there in years. I never really seen what the music scene is like in the nation's capital.
It's pee. It's literal.
It's gone.
Yeah,
There's no scene.
it's dying. It is on like life support and it's tapping out in Morse code to have it killed.
Okay, so basically, there was a scene here back in the 90s, and basically, I'm gonna assume in like 1995, it just got up and walked to Richmond,
Yeah.
and it's gone now.
Pretty much. I mean, I had previous band experience. I was in my first actual band probably about 5 years ago now, and it was deathcore, and 18-year-old me, it was like, this is the best thing to ever happen to me in my life. Started playing shows and things like that, and I slowly started to realize that all these bands just kind of sound the same.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the same vocals, same riffs, same drum beats, things like that, and that's kind of why I signed on to start managing Trivial Difference, because these guys really bring back some flavor and some originality into the local music scene. It's a nice break from the constant regurgitations that I hear all around here from now on.
We're really trying to be original. We're really trying to get the scene back here if we can. We're not saying it can't be here. We're just saying it is shit. It's like fixing up an old broken house,
It's basically like LA in the 80s.
It's not even that. What? It's basically just trying to build on the land where a house used to be.
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
Yeah,
like
but
there once was a house here, is no longer there.
Also an Indian graveyard.
Oh no.
now you're gonna end up cursing yourself on that one.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you're trying to rebuild the scene of what it once was, or you're trying to build the scene of what you want it to be.
Yes.
Yes.
That's all you get.
Both.
Yes.
We want it to be bigger and badder, and we also want, we want it to be what it used to be. You know what I mean?
Make metal great again.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
Ian.
All right, Lars von Retriever, calm down.
Should we make hats that say that? Make metal great again?
Does anybody
Yeah.
not get that?
Let's
joke?
make them red.
Hold up.
No, they gotta be
Do you not get
black.
the Lars, really quick, do you not get the Lars von Retriever reference?
No, shut up.
It's this guy. He edits fucking voice clips of Donald Trump, auto-tunes them to different metal songs, and it's constantly make metal great again, and it's really fucking funny.
I'm gonna have to check those out because I've not seen any of that, but I try and
I
stay as
recommend
much
it.
out of the political scene as I can.
I recommend it.
I'm gonna have to probably check it out right after we're done recording this, due to the fact that sounds hilarious. And yes, I know I'm just that funny, guys. It's all right. Don't worry about it.
Jonathan's over there in the corner just dicking around.
Jonathan was about to burn Michael's guitar.
Oh fuck! What?
What? He almost lit his guitar on fire.
All right, so that the DC scene is kind of dried up and everything moved to Richmond, I know you guys said you were kind of heading over towards that area, trying to head over towards that area.
Yeah, we're planning to pack up and like once we get
he's just talking about shows and stuff like I was referring to earlier.
well, I'm saying that once we get like our shit together here and we build up enough of following somewhere else near here, we're planning to pack up and move there because like Jonathan said, it's really, I mean, it's not horrible here. It's not like, like middle of nowhere, but it's like
there's no creativity.
Yeah,
Even
it's
good bands can come out of the middle of nowhere.
it's
Yeah.
just
Something-
yeah, and then yeah, that's about it.
I have a lot to teach you.
I'll say because I've talked to some bands already on this podcast on previous episodes. One of them was a rock, like kind of like a rock metal band from New Jersey, and kind of the scene up by them, what they said was just not that good, rather weak, to the point where they're trying to expand out to where the scene for them would be a lot better and just a lot more impactful for their kind of music. And just because, along the East Coast, I was just wondering kind of, is that scene just kind of dried up, and are they kind of just passing by rock and metal, or is it something that's completely different? Because where I'm from right now, if you look around, it's like, oh, anything you hear by people look at, it's like, oh, you're listening to pop music or freaking country, because I just can't stand country. That's just my personal taste. But you go to any rock show and that place is freaking packed no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really help our situation or metal's situation that basically all music is being controlled by music labels, by fucking producers, and just coming out with this absolute garbage mumble rap, this fucking unoriginal pop music that's been like done and like spat back out for like the past 10-15 years.
There's no like you said, there's no originality to it. We like in my lyrics and stuff, a lot of the lyrics I have are like deeply emotional lyrics that I've written, like, because I write poems and stuff, and a lot of my lyrics are stuff that I use in different poems to make it work with the song, because we write the song first. But it's so like I really put everything I can into my lyrics, and that often makes it hard to memorize, but like I put everything I can into it. And to see people coming out with things where like pose man and as much as I love that song for the meme, it's like someone really thought this was enough. Like, fuck, man.
Well, I'm going to kind of actually disagree with you a little bit when it comes to that mumble rap stuff. Not saying that I really don't like it, but saying how it kind of got into prominence. And a lot of that was SoundCloud rappers just putting their stuff out there. So the music labels were not really having any kind of control over it. It was they were bypassing the middleman of the music labels and going straight to the consumer, much like because the internet is now the middleman. The internet doesn't give a shit who you are. It's going to let the market decide. So there's definitely a space there for a band like you guys to gain a lot of popularity by putting music out and really just letting people listen to it, not having to worry about what a label would do to kind of market it or put it out. You can kind of do that all yourself in a way. But again, that just takes a lot. That takes a lot of effort, and that depends on the kind of effort that you guys want to put into trying to do something like that, if that's the route you want to go on, or if you want to go down the route of focus on the scene that you're in and kind of go, I think, the way that you guys want to go about it and really build around the scene that you're in right now, build it back up to what you want it to be, and kind of build on the base of what it was and create something insane for yourself in that area.
Yeah.
I agree.
You guys just let me rant there for like 30 seconds, and I was really happy I could.
I should kind of agree with you a little more, in my own personal opinion, because I kind of see music labels as almost obsolete now.
Like brother.
I've always kind of been against signing with a label, kind of like Ian. At first, I wanted to, just because it seemed like it's the path to go. But now that we're here, it just seems obsolete.
Especially when there's so many ways to get your music out without needing a label,
Yeah.
I mean,
I don't want to sign my music away either.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many, like, Michael, how many platforms is our EP on?
All of them. Pretty much from shit you've known, like Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music and the whole 9 yards, to shit you've never even fucking heard of, okay?
Yeah.
So what kind of what are you talking about, like, when it comes to shit you never heard of? Because I'm very interested to hear this.
There's some, so the way, as I understand it, the platform we use, it tells us what platforms that it's been uploaded on. It's gone, Pandora, but it's got stuff like, I think it's Música Clásica, which is clear music in Spanish. So I shit you not, that's one of the platforms. I think what it's called. That's one of the names of one of the platforms that it's on, is Música Clásica.
Please tell me you're looking it up right now. Yeah. Jonathan is.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Nice. See, the reason why I kind of want to ask that is because if there are smaller ones that people don't really know about, but there are people that are really specific that like the genre of music that you guys are playing that are on these platforms, what they could easily end up doing is all of a sudden finding your music on these lesser known platforms or very niche platforms, that one that might be very specific to thrash metal. And all of a sudden they find your stuff, they really like it, and next thing you know, now they're sharing it with their friends on larger social media sites like Facebook, you have Twitter, they might be putting a picture out on it on Instagram, like, you know, somebody like me would do, because hey, check this out, because I actually really like doing that and show people, you know, good stuff to listen to. So it kind of lets the other person or the people that your fans are, that are your fans, do marketing themselves for you, going from people that really are into that kind of music to giving it to a broader audience without you really doing anything. However, you cannot just focus on that because you got to do a lot of it yourself. Well, actually, 95% of it yourself.
I actually pulled up the list of some of the stuff that we released it on. It's on stuff from like Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, Google Play, the whole 9 yards. The stuff you've never heard of, such as Deezer, Tidal, Claro Musica, which is what I was referring to, Savin, Saavn, Angami, Anghami, KKBox, MediaNet, and then Instagram and Facebook. So if you ever feel like sharing the music, look up Trivial Difference Toxic on Instagram when you're posting a story with music, and you can actually find it there, which is really fucking cool to be able to do.
Oh, that's awesome.
But, yeah, so that's that was one of the really weird things, is like, oh, these music these music platforms exist. I've never heard of them, but you know what? Why not? You know, maybe we'll catch a niche audience, and then, you know.
Yeah, going back to the rap, those mumble raps that really hit it big on SoundCloud. They just put it out on SoundCloud, what before was really that as big of a thing as it is, and then all of a sudden, next thing you know, some of these guys are, you know, getting major record deals, and they didn't even have to do anything with the record company. They didn't have to go to them. The record companies demanded them.
Yeah.
And if you can't tell, my econ background is really coming out of me right now.
Yeah. See, for me, I don't particularly like rap, but I do have respect for musicians in general who are able to take their music and provide it to the masses, because that takes by itself a lot of willpower, dedication, hard work, just to be able to provide something that you're happy with. You know what I mean?
Oh, very much so. And that's where I'm kind of looking at the second half of 2019 as, you know, because I'll put it this way, in the popular music scene, when it comes to, you know, when you're listening on the radio, what are you hearing? There's a lot of pop, and when it comes to the rock side, you're getting a lot of that alt rock or kind of pop rock styles. You're getting a lot of some of my, you know, bands that I'm kind of like, oh, I'm not big fans of these, stuff like Maroon 5, New Fall Out Boy, Imagine Dragons. I'm like, or 21 Pilots. I'm just like, you know what? I need to get something that's like more my style that people like, but no one's getting it on, you know, any kind of pop station. However, I think there's a big opportunity for a couple of bands to really jumpstart that, and I think you guys could really hitch on that kind of a wagon due to the fact that I think in August, if this actually goes through, because I know they're having troubles with getting Woodstock 50 going, but there's going to be a lot of people there. A lot of people are focusing on the pop music, but then there are two bands there that I'm really focused on that could kind of bring rock back into the popular, kind of like the popular scene. Greta Van Fleet, even though they're kind of trying to do that, it's just getting that through a big audience. And with the way the political climate is today, the Fever 333.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree on that.
Because, I mean, all of a sudden, again, political climate, these guys are hard punk rockers, and they just hit it hard. So if they get their music out to the mass and people start recognizing it, then more people are going to start listening to punk rock, more people start listening to thrash metal, just rock and metal in general, and you guys could really, you know, follow that into much more prominence.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate it.
I mean, that's a prediction I want to see happen. I think it actually will happen, but then again, I could always be wrong because, you know, the festival could get canceled, or it could just be a bunch of Instagram models trying to take pictures there for like one day.
Fire.
Just like a horde of them.
Yeah, and And I just want to tell this to the people listening. Go out and support your local bands, groups,
Local scene.
yeah,
in general.
just your local scene because your local scene most likely has better music than what is mainstream
Yeah.
right now.
Because they work harder, they really want to just produce, and we want to hook up with these people. We really want to build the next generation of music.
Yeah, when I joined Trivial Difference, that was when I got really opened up to the scene because I was really out of it for a while. And as soon as I joined, as soon as I started listening to bands in the local scene, it was just absolutely mind altering upon hearing how different they sounded to what I was hearing anyway. And there's a few bands now that are on my daily playlists. Just because I didn't know of them, but they're in the scene. I'm like, wow, these guys are really fucking good.
So that's one thing I like about the fact that it's summer now, especially here in Wisconsin, because we actually get a good amount of music festivals that come around. And, well, for the one that is close to me, which is Summerfest, if there's a band that's showing up that is really focused in on, a certain genre, a certain style, then the bands that they're going to have, for the whole entire day leading up to them on that stage are going to kind of follow suit with that style. So say you're a big fan of punk rock and, one of your favorite bands is playing as the headliner on one of the free stages, the two or three bands that show up before them, you are going to be more local bands or smaller bands from other areas, from maybe Chicago, maybe from Minneapolis. Hell, it could be from all over the place even. We get bands like that all the time. But then again, you're going to end up noticing these bands before they even really hit it big.
Yeah.
And basically at that point is where their really good stuff is, because then most groups and most artists after they reach that point, they mostly start focusing on the business side and start worrying less about their art.
Yeah, but then again, that kind of also comes to when we're just with the business the way it is. But if you get artists that can really stay focused and stay true to who they are, which is, especially in popular music, is incredibly rare. If you can find an artist like that, even within rock music too, or metal or whatever, it's very interesting and ends up becoming more popular than, the stuff that kind of just, these bands kind of got big, but then all of a sudden they kind of just went towards whatever was gonna make them money. Not necessarily saying they sold out, because they still have they still have the sound that they have, but they kind of tailor the sound more to getting hits on the radio. I've seen bands do it. I'm not the biggest fan of it. However, I do understand why they do the things they do.
Yeah, totally.
Going back to how local bands will play harder shows, essentially, in a way. If the thing that's really cool about seeing local bands is that when they perform live, anything goes in some way. And, whether it be things that happen by accident or, stuff that'll sometime down the line become that happened. You remember this? Because it was pretty crazy. It was just, a lot of that kind of stuff happens, and then it's just, it becomes a part of that band. Like, oh, you remember? It's not to compare them, but like, kind of like how Metallica, that one time in Montreal, that James Hetfield got burned on stage.
He blew his arm off.
Yeah, he got burned on stage, and now every time, not every time, but like a good amount of a little bit after that happened, it became James, how did it feel to be burned alive, essentially, and that's kind of stuck with them for better or for worse. Of like, during Fade to Black, James almost died.
Yeah, and they're not the only band to have stuff like that happen too. I mean, take a look at what Netflix did with the Motley Crue biopic with The Dirt. The first show they played, they literally got into a frickin' fight. I'll jump to the Foo Fighters as well, when Dave Grohl broke his leg on stage and then ended up getting his ankle put back into place. Had to have the doctor hold it in place for 2.5 hours while he sat in a chair and played the rest of the show.
I have mad respect for Dave Grohl, because he's a great guy, and also just dedication alley. Okay.
I will not lie. I still believe that Dave Grohl is the most underrated person in music of all time. He does
I
not.
will not disagree with
He
you.
does
there.
not get the respect that he deserves, even though he gets a shit ton of it.
It's still not enough.
You're a
It's really
drummer for the most popular band of the 1990s with Nirvana, which transcended music and created basically the whole entire grunge movement. Even though it kind of the popularity of it was like a shooting star, kind of just it burned bright, but then once Kurt Cobain tragically passed, kind of went away. All of a sudden, who's the band that's gonna take that spot? Oh, the Foo Fighters. Well, the guy that was drumming for Nirvana is now the front man.
Yeah.
And the Foo Fighters are probably, when it comes to just whenever you think of rock music in general, anytime around like the year 2000 from till now, usually the Foo Fighters are the ones that come to mind.
Yeah. So really quick, I remember you talked about at some point, not during this this phone call, but at some point you before this whole as this whole thing was getting set up, you wanted to talk about crazy concert stories, and we have a few that are pretty fun.
Oh my God, yes! I really want to talk
I'm
about crazy
dying to
concert
get
stories because I
crazy
love hearing these.
stories.
Whether it's concerts you guys have been to and have had crazy stuff happen to you guys, because I've had some of that happen to me myself. But especially if you guys have crazy concert stories from when you were performing, those are the ones I really want to hear about.
Dude, I got So
me
so,
and
yeah,
Gannon
so
have the
Thomas is my show buddy. So we got so many show stories. Like,
Please mention.
we went to see Judas Priest a little over a year ago, and so Judas Priest is pretty old. All the people are there, like leatherheads, and they're all pretty old. They're all in their 50s, and this is the first time Thomas has really been to a metal show where he's like into metal. That's when he started to get into metal, and he's like, dude, I want to be in my first mosh pit. I was like, here, I'll get it started. I got you, buddy. So we met these two metalheads who were standing next to us. So I just shoved Thomas into him. I just shoved Thomas into the dude next to me, and all the old people just kind of magnetated away from us.
And every young person,
all the
existed.
young people just hopped in. And so this is while they were playing the song Painkiller, and I just look up at the stage, two people's heads from both sides of my head hit my head at the same time, knocked me out, and I got hit from behind before I hit the ground. So I actually blacked out in midair.
Ooh.
There was this in that same mosh pit. There was this guy who was about 6'4", right? He was like 6'4", massive Hispanic dude, just absolutely beast ass motherfucker in an Anthrax shirt. This was an Anthrax fan, so this is like the rarest breed. This guy is mad, right? He pushes me to a bunch of people. No, what happens?
That might have been your head that hit me.
Yeah. No, so everyone is trying to push me into this person. So they push me as hard as they can into him, and he goes flying because I have the weight of about 5 people behind me. And he is mad. And he starts running at me, and he picks me up and shoves me into the fucking water fountain. I fly like 10 feet into the crowd. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah. So yeah, after that, it was pretty fun. There was this redheaded guy who hugged me after that, and I was like, oh, okay. Also, me and Gannon almost had to walk home from fucking DC.
Oh yeah.
Really?
We were stumbling through DC with concussions after that.
Really quick, mention do you remember what happened that one time before our very first show?
Oh, at the Pinch?
Yeah.
Okay. So Thomas and I we're actually going to this local venue called the Pinch in DC.
Well, we're playing our first show on
because
tour.
we wanted to see what the actual venue was like. And there's this band from Colombia that was playing. They came all the way from Colombia.
They're called Azotodor, and they fucking kick ass, man. These motherfuckers kick ass.
But okay, so I was with my then girlfriend, and we were standing in the corner, just enjoying the music. We were pretty close to the stage. You want to call it that? And I look over in the corner because Thomas had been moshing the entire time. He was just a fucking animal the entire time. I look over, and in the other corner of the venue, there's this like 5'2" Mexican dude, like who has Thomas by the shirt pinned against the wall, and there's like a crowd of his friends around him. I'm like, oh my God, what happened?
Yeah.
So I'm like throwing people out of the way, and I grabbed this guy by the shirt, and I just threw him across like the entire pit.
So basically, what happened with this guy, I don't know. Okay, let me explain to you. First off, these dudes, what they called themselves. I remember we met this guy. No. It was Poco. No, it was. You make me un poco loco. No, but they called themselves the Satanic Hispanics, and apparently they actually live like a couple blocks down from me. So that's pretty funny.
Wow.
Yeah. But anyway, so most of them were actually really cool guys. You know, they didn't really speak much English, but they were nice because they weren't trying to gang up on me. They were actually trying to get that fucker off of me. They were like, dude, stop. Because they didn't want to fight at the show because these guys were representing Colombia. So they were trying to get that guy off of me. And what happened with that guy, I was just moshing, and it looked like he had his arms out. He looked like a pastor. He was looking up at the sky, and then out of nowhere, he busts into a rage and grabs me and starts grappling with me. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm just trying to mosh. So then I grab him and I drag him across the floor. And he starts dragging me across the floor, and eventually he pins me on the ground. And yeah, that's what happened with Gannon. But the band before that went on. I was in the same mosh pit, and some dude runs into me as hard as he can with his fucking head, and he chips off a piece of my tooth, and it's still chipped. I can feel it.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
It's still chipped. I remember it was in my hand, and I was like, huh. Would you look at that? And I kept moshing. Also, I have braces on, so it was agonizing.
That does not sound good at all. And
Yeah.
it sounds like you guys have some very violent and angry moshers over in your side of the
I've got
Crowds
so much
of the nerve
more.
to get brutal.
I got so much more. Wait, no. This is the best one. At the Morbid Angel concert in Baltimore Soundstage, which is the stage. Okay, I fucking love Morbid Angel. Like Morbid Angel, is the band I talk about the least, but I love the most. I love Morbid Angel with a burning passion.
They can fucking ass.
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I saw them at Baltimore Soundstage, and in the mosh pit at Baltimore, I saw a woman headbanging. Some man comes up and takes a chunk of her hair. When I say a chunk, I mean a fistful, and rips it out of her scalp.
What the?
Blood is pouring out off this woman's face. Have you ever seen a human without a nose?
Yeah, Michael Jackson.
Okay, well, let me explain it to you. It looks like, just imagine a human, and then their nose is punched in. That's what happened to this guy. He slipped on beer, and he falls, and this 6'6" motherfucker falls straight into the ground on his nose, and his nose is inverted. I think he might have. No, I don't think he died, but the ambulance came because his nose got pushed into his skull.
Oh.
But anyway, so yeah, I'm moshing, right?
So on YouTube,
yeah.
don't get monetized.
Yeah, so I'm moshing, right? And there is this dude who was like 5'3", he was about 300 pounds. He comes up and he punches me as hard as he can in the diaphragm, and I fall to the ground.
Ooh.
But other than that, I've never fallen in a pit.
So I've got a.
Wait, one more.
Okay.
So at that same concert,
Fuck,
there is this woman. Okay, this is I'm not trying to objectify anyone, but there is this woman with at least like F cups, okay? and I can mosh with people who are 6'8", and I can hold my own without a problem. This woman is like 5'4". She runs into me, and I just go fucking flying back. I don't know. I think boobs give an advantage to moshing. It's a theory of mine.
No, it's a classic for football. Low man wins. I mean, she's shorter than you. Center of gravity's lower. Can hit it. I've had that happen. Dude, I've had that happen to me too. When I saw Seven Dust, there was this guy that was like 5'4", and he was just wrecking people just because he could get lower and he could hit them right in the middle of the chest. And next thing you know, people go flying. He hit me twice, and I go flying into the crowd next to me. I'm just like, holy shit! It's like, I gotta get this guy now, just because he's wrecking everybody. I can't let this stand. But then again, me being like, I'm like 6'1", so it's like trying to get down to his level is kind of tough at some points, especially when, I'm trying to get down and maybe, meet him right at where he is. Next thing I know, I get hit from behind.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So I have a fun concert story. The very first show I ever played with Trivial Difference at the Pinch on March 1st, I will never forget. I had just joined the band, not even a month prior, and I had
all of the songs within a month.
I learned all the songs. Most of the lead parts I had completely improv'd on the spot because I hadn't written anything proper. The only song I had anything written was for a song called Fortune, and that's the only one I had properly written. But in the middle of the set, Gannon has a bass solo, and my wireless unit dies in the middle of the set. So I have to sprint off stage, during his bass solo to find batteries from my toolbox and replace them while he's on stage. And I barely got back in time for, was it Bad Love afterwards? Or was it Bell Tolls?
It was Bells.
Yeah. I got back just in time to come on for the next song. And that was probably one of the craziest experiences. And in that same show at the very end, because I felt like being a little bit of a cheeky guy, I decided that it would be cool to jump on top of a table and jump off of it. And as soon as I got in midair, my head collides with the PA monitor on the ceiling, and I almost fall back on my head at the end of the set.
At that same show, a friend of ours, dad, he came up out of the mosh pit, and he has like severe anger issues, and he just also he's an ex-Marine, and he punches me as hard as he can straight in the face.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
no,
Yeah.
he's swinging on
Thomas got charged in the middle of the set.
and I'm singing, and I'm just like, and then I get punched, and I'm like, okay, we're gonna ignore that, and then I keep singing, and I'm like, yeah.
You handled that so well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can take a fat punch, dude.
Can we please talk about the fact that people were continuously charging you on stage?
I'll take a fat.
Yeah, man, why were people continuously charging you on stage? It seems like there had to be someone there. It's like, okay, let's make sure the lead singer doesn't get knocked in the face
Nope.
again.
No,
No,
because the stage is a foot higher than the ground at that show, and that stage was only for the drums. So we were ground level. He just came up, goes, "Kunk," right in my fucking cheek, and I'm like, okay.
That's thrash metal for you.
All right, I got a story that completely changes gears. So,
No. Save it for later.
Is it a nice mosh pit story?
Yeah. So during our first show in Fort Belvoir,
3
I
years ago.
yeah, we were on the first song, and my stick just decides to snap in half, and I didn't bring any spares, so I had to finish the rest of the set with just the butt of the broken stick, and also in the basement show of March 31st. My left kick pedal just went completely numb. It hugged the beer head on the last song, and so I had a double bass part coming up, and so I just had to finish that with a usual skank beat. I was so goddamn mad.
Oh, and our most recent show, we had this, Dyer's Eve by Metallica?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I should probably let Ian tell this one, but I've already started. So,
Yeah, good.
yeah.
You go ahead.
So, that song we really wanted to cover, and we worked so hard on it, and they stopped us before we could finish it because we went over time. We didn't even go over time.
They cut.
We were close to overtime.
No, they cut everyone's set by 5 minutes the day of the show.
Yeah, it was planned for a 30-minute set, and then the day of the show it was like, surprise, 25-minute set.
So we didn't get to play that song. We were fucking furious, man.
Yeah, no, I was a little upset about it. And Ian just fell out of his chair. Yeah,
Well,
no, we were all upset about it. We were all pretty pissed off about it because we put so much effort into learning the song and shit. And then they were like, "Hey, you're not gonna play it," and we were all,
Eat our ass.
we finished on a good song. We did finish on a good song, but also that show is, I would consider it worse than my first show with these guys because that show had some.
It had some issues.
Yeah.
This show,
Fucking Michael went out of tune.
my guitar went out of tune during the first tuning change, and I didn't catch it at all. I was a quarter and a half step out of tune.
It fucking sounded like a goddamn middle school talent show.
Yeah, really. It was god awful. It was not my proudest moment.
Well, I mean, when it starts out with the fact that the venue come up and says, surprise, your set's being cut by 5 minutes before, like, the day of, you're kind of getting thrown out of whack right there. And you probably weren't the only ones that happened to where things were going wrong because you guys were thrown out of whack. I mean, probably the other bands that were there had the exact same thing happen where a couple of things didn't go right. Maybe they were 2 steps out of tune instead of 1.5.
Yeah, no, here's the thing for me. I was just like, guys, we got to play everything double time to try and fit everything in.
Oh god, Dyer's Eve at double time.
Oh my god.
We would have died.
Yeah.
I would have said best of luck on that one. You guys would have, it'd been like something straight out of, it'd been like trying to play through the fire and flames in Guitar Hero. You guys have been like, ah!
Oh my god.
So I got a show story from when Ian and I went to go see Lamb of God in Atlanta. We went to see Slayer in Atlanta, and Lamb of God was opening because it was Slayer's final tour, quote unquote. And
It's their last show ever.
Lamb of God was on, and I had never heard Lamb of God before.
Really?
I actually got into Lamb of God because of that show.
Same.
Wow.
And I was in the mosh pit, and okay, this is fucking Atlanta, Georgia. Motherfucker, okay. People were leaving the stadium to go mosh on the lawn with us. The lawn pits were massive.
Holy
Like,
do you have pictures?
yes, I have so many videos. There's a
Show me later.
it had just rained right before. Anthrax was also playing. It had just rained right before. There's actually a video of me. You can see my head bobbing up and down in the circle pit, and it's on a slope, and you can just see me. Whoop! It's fucking the head is gone.
Fucking eat ass.
Yeah, just eat ass, just straight on the fucking lawn, just covered in mud. And by the time Lamb of God got on, I was tired and I was breaking out in hives because I'm defective. And
What's up, human?
This one is
so I was like, all right, I'm gonna mosh Lamb of God, and then I'm kind of done for the rest of the night. I'm gonna chill for Slayer. I'm gonna actually watch them. And we were moshing, and there's this absolutely fucking massive Chad in the mosh pit. Dude is at least 600 pounds. No, like Big Chungus squared.
That won't date this at all.
Like, oh my! And I was just sitting there. I was just standing there, like headbanging. Motherfucker comes up to me, like grabs my head and just like elbows me straight in the fucking eyeball, like right in the fucking brow ridge. And I'm like, haha, this doesn't hurt. And I skip over back to where Ian is on the pit wall. And I'm like, hey, check this out. And my eye is a ping pong ball. It's literally like pine cones.
All right, I've got a story about I went to see Slayer at Jiffy Lube Live in Bristow. You good? You good, bud?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
so
don't die on
to
us,
see,
man. Don't die on us.
I'm dead.
Darn.
Bye. No, so I went to see Slayer live on June 10th, about a year last year in Bristow at Jiffy Lube Live, and do you know about there's this meme with fucking Slayer.
Yeah.
I jokingly said fucking Slayer before I even got into the place. It became me saying fucking Slayer, me and my friend saying fucking Slayer. 2 more people joined in, and within 20 seconds, at least half of the crowd had said fucking Slayer all at the same time. And then at some point,
Maiden show.
speaking of Maiden, they played Number of the Beast. The DJ played Number of the Beast. I have never seen people go insane over the song that the DJ played. all you hear is "Woe to you, O Earth," and everybody's like, "Fuck yeah!" It was the greatest moment. Okay.
Oh my god, that is absolutely fan-fucking-tastic. But I got one concern with that whole entire story, and that's Jiffy Lube Fest. That sounds like it should be something completely different than what it actually was.
The venue name is Jiffy Lube Live.
We have a venue close to us called Jiffy Lube Live. It's actually like the big arena where all the big bands go to.
Yeah.
Jiffy Lube Live.
It's either Jiffy Lube Live or M&T Bank Stadium in Baltimore. Yeah.
See, when it comes to M&T Bank Stadium, though, I mean, I totally get it. That's what the fucking Ravens playing. If you're gonna have a huge concert, if you're gonna have like someone like Paul McCartney show up, yeah, they're gonna play at M&T Bank. But Jiffy Lube Live, I can't get enough of that shit.
That perfectly describes the Alexandria scene.
Jiffy Lube Live.
You better stop laughing, or else I'm gonna lube you up.
Oh God.
Oh my God, Ian.
Oh my god, it's because I mean here when it comes to me being in Milwaukee, it's just like if we get like a massive someone massive come in, like earlier this year we had Billy Joel come in. He was at Miller Park where the Brewers play, so you can have like 45,000 people there. Otherwise, if you have a stadium show, they'll have it at the new Bucks Arena. But if the shows that I like are always the concert venues, so the ones that you're actually gonna be, you kind of like on like a ballroom style thing where you just have like the open floor, nothing major. We have this place called the Rave, and it's just they've got like 3 levels. And there was one concert I went to, it was earlier this year in May. I was seeing Seven Dust and In This Moment, and we were in the ballroom, so that's on the top floor. In the basement, they had Tech 9 going, and just the battle of the basses. You could just feel the floor vibrate. It felt like this place was gonna fucking crumble, all due to the bass from both Seven Dust and In This Moment and Tech Nine. It was a little scary, and then that was when we had the little like short guy that was wrecking everybody in the mosh pit.
Oh my god.
Also, pro tip for you guys, if you go in the mosh pit, make sure your shoes are tied tight, because I've lost mine for like 10, 15 minutes at a time.
God! At the Judas Priest show, I had a pair of $100 running shoes, and the laces actually got ripped out of the sockets.
The socks.
The sockets.
Socks.
I'm honestly not surprised that would happen either, because you just see some of the craziest shit in the pit, but the one thing I always like about it is no matter what, at the end, you get a bunch of people are just moshing the whole entire time, sweaty as shit, just everyone's just exhausted due to the fact that you've been running into each other for the past hour and a half, and everyone's just like, oh man, I love you, bro. Just good job, man. Good job.
Yeah, no. What's it called? At the Slayer show, the pit, I briefly went into the pit. I snuck my way over the barricade to get into the pit section. I got destroyed because I'm like a 5'11" guy, but I'm also like only 120 pounds, so I'm a scrawny little motherfucker.
You gotta cultivate mass, dude.
I literally tried. I have tried. No, but what's it called? I tried moshing. I got my ass kicked in about 20 minutes. I was like, okay, that's enough.
Acquire substance.
Yes, and then
I
I went.
Not get the cultivate mass reference.
Always
Sunny.
Yes, at least someone got cultivating mass.
Bitch. I am a bitch. D, you bitch. Anyway, what's it called? I went in, I got my ass kicked, and then I went back to my seat to where I'm supposed to be. And what ended up happening was Slayer comes on. I forget who came before Slayer, but I was already like tired from fucking thrashing around during the guy who was right before Slayer, and I ended up headbanging so hard. I ended up giving myself whiplash. Headbanging so hard. That is probably my proudest moment. I went into that concert with the idea of I will scream until I am bleeding, and I will thrash until my neck falls off. And I gave myself whiplash. And also, when I got home that night, I was actually like coughing up pretty sizable amounts of blood, and I was like, "That's a good concert."
I'll say you definitely achieved what you were going for sure.
I think I achieved more than what I was going for.
Alrighty, just because I know we've talked so much about crazy stories, and guys, trust me, I absolutely love these crazy stories. Yeah. I think you guys so far, the bands that I've talked to and interviewed, you guys have the ones that are just just have some of the most insanity to them.
That's what we go for, man.
However, I honestly don't think you can top the first one I heard, which is the band Ascending from Ashes. They told me about this when they were working with John Moyer of Disturbed, and how he has this horrible habit of always spilling coffee. It was just absolutely hilarious, and now I basically told them they have to get him like a coffee tumbler for Christmas that latches onto like 10 sides so he can't spill it. They're like, oh no, we'll just get him a sippy cup.
What a I can't say that word.
Oh boy.
What a silly man. Just go with that.
Yeah, what a silly man.
What a sub 30.
What an absolute buffoon.
Absolute buffoon.
What a nincompoop.
Yeah. You're a classy hero over at Trivial Difference.
Yeah.
Keeping it classy. You know when you drink your tea, keep the pinky out.
We drink our tea out of a beer bong. It's okay.
Oh my god.
No, beer bongs are meant for beer. Come on,
no,
dude.
They're meant for tea, damn it.
You're talking to someone who lives in the city where they literally call it the Brew City. If there's a beer bong, only beer goes down that thing. Doesn't matter. Now also depends on when it comes. Do you just put, you don't put one can in there. Usually you take the tap from the keg and you just put it in there. It's like, okay, if you don't want to do a keg stand, this is what you're doing. Otherwise, you're doing a fucking keg stand and you're seeing how long you can go. I honestly did a keg stand in my high school parking lot like the last day I was in high school. That was fun. Good times. Yeah.
See, if I did that at my high school, I would have immediately been arrested.
Oh, I went to a Catholic high school, so I mean, I'm surprised nothing happened.
I actually got a question for you, bud.
Tables have turned.
Yeah.
Gentlemen.
Oh, tables turned. All right, let's go.
What made you want us to come on your podcast?
Alrighty, so one thing I'm trying to do with the podcast is I love talking with people. I love actually getting into more engaged conversations with people that are either following my stuff or that I've followed for plenty of years. So I've had conversations with certain fans regarding just talking about their experiences, talking to them about what they thought about new albums coming out. I did that with a couple of people for the latest New Year's Day release that was in April. I had a kid that's been following my stuff since I pretty much started this whole entire thing. That's big in death metal, and black metal. So we basically went through the whole entire Flesh God Apocalypse album that came out the end of May for like 2 hours. I talked to somebody about the new Motionless in White album last week, and then it just gives me. And then when it comes to the bands, it gives me a chance to actually talk with them and get a real in-depth conversation about kind of whatever, wherever it goes. I mean, I love hearing you guys talk about these concert stories, and it just kind of helps me just get to know, the audience a little bit more and get to know you guys, because I really enjoy talking to people like this. And especially in a world when it comes to me trying to, bring people as much value and joy in life as they can with, maybe you're having a bad day, check out, your song of the day might be something that gets you pumped up like The Mountain by 3 Days Grace. And I had someone where I just randomly picked an Attack song for a song of the day choice, end up being this person's second favorite band of all time, and it was her birthday, and she hadn't heard it in like 3 years. So I'm like, holy shit, I did something really good out of nowhere. It just made me feel great, and I really like just talking with people, getting more in-depth and figuring out what's going on with them and seeing how, I can maybe potentially help them out with whatever they're going through, whether it's a single person or when it comes to bands, kind of trying to get them some more notoriety as well.
Yeah.
That's cool as shit, man.
It's pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was pretty much the whole entire purpose why I started this whole entire My Song of the Day stuff, the YouTube channel, the podcast, all of it was because this is music has meant so much to me, especially since I graduated college and have gone through trying to get through a lot of stuff I had to get through the first year and a half out of college. And just the sheer happiness that this brings me and me knowing what I want to do in life, this was going to be the way to do it, because I wake up every single morning and my mind's always on this. I go to my full-time job and there's plenty of times where I'm on my phone on Instagram or Twitter just trying to connect with people, talk with people, come up with ideas. And then I come home and I just work on this stuff until I pass out, and then I get like 4 hours of sleep because I'm so into this I can't stop.
Well, yeah, I fucking wish that more people had that type of drive as what you do with your podcast.
Yeah, and I mean, I constantly want to keep talking to more bands as I can, because it's like what on Wednesday when Mike was on the live stream and he asked, how can a band be on the podcast? I was elated just because I'm like, I can talk to another band after talking to two. I can get a third one on here. Hell yeah, let's go. Yeah. So I pretty much just told him, just send me a DM and we'll set something up, and then boom, it's Saturday night and here we are.
Nice.
Another thing to it is I always like to try and be more accommodating to the bands, just because I know you guys, even though I have a rigorous schedule, I know you guys have a rigorous schedule as well when it comes to practicing and performing. So I always want to be accommodating to what you guys have, because then it also makes it a little bit easier on you guys, maybe makes a little bit more of a relaxed feel, and then we can just kind of get into a crazy conversation about getting completely wrecked in mosh pits.
Yeah.
That's what we live for.
Who wouldn't want to live for that, except for, well, people who don't really like jumping into mosh pits. But
People who don't like getting their ass kicked willingly.
Okay, hold up. I willingly got my ass kicked going into the mosh pit. I fucking snuck my way in knowing full well I'd get my ass beat.
Let's put it this way. It builds character. Builds a lot of character.
Yes, it does.
Well, especially I think it was the first one I ever jumped in on. I was getting wrecked left and right. I'm like, oh, man, this is bad.
It takes experience.
Well, right at the end of the song, literally the guy that was just trying to hit me from left and right every chance he got, because I jumped in for the last song of the set because it was just a horrible time in my life. I'm like, I just needed to just get some anger out. And I jumped in there instead of me hitting people. I was just getting my shit wrecked. Guy comes up and just gives me this big-ass hug. He's like, dude, I love you, man. I'm like, okay, this is fine.
That's a really cool thing about metal and just rock and roll in general, is that there's an unspoken camaraderie between people, between fans of.
Except for the dude who ripped that chick's hair out.
Yeah, that dude's an ass. But like when it comes to just that unspoken camaraderie, I got a little story for you guys. So this was 2015. I was seeing Rise Against, and we're like, there's a mosh pit going. I didn't jump in at this point. I was right on the edge, and some kid got like the shit like hit out of him. He got basically cross-checked. His glasses fell off. He picked them up, or people trying to pick him up. Picked up his glass real quick, and all of a sudden he heard what the guy that was picking up heard him say like, "I have no lenses." So this guy literally just tried to get everyone. He's like, "Stop!" And all of a sudden the mosh pit like slows down, and he's like, back up. So everyone backed up like maybe like 5 feet to give him like, you know, like a nice 5-foot circle. So they're trying to look for these guys' lenses. Takes like 5 seconds. They find both of them. The kid pops him back in, puts his glass on. He's like, okay. Everyone just bum rushes him and hits him all at the same time. I mean, he wanted. Then after the song was over, Tim literally pointed out, he's like, what the hell happened over here? And we told him, he's like, that is the nicest mosh pit I've ever seen in my entire life. And I was just like, yeah!
Where is the lenses?
Hey, we found the kid's lenses. It was awesome.
I'm surprised they didn't get smashed, honestly.
I have no clue how they didn't get smashed because with the amount of people that were in there, but it might have just been like the 1 in a million chance that they did not get touched actually happened.
It's surprising that both of them were intact.
That was even more surprising, yeah, but it worked. I don't know how it worked, but it just worked.
Yeah.
All right, you guys, I got one more question I want to ask you, if that's all right with you guys.
Yep, of course.
Alrighty, so my last question to you guys is, so we've kind of talked about what you guys are kind of going off of right now, what your plans are, where you guys are kind of going around with the DC, Richmond, Baltimore area for the summer. Given the next, let's take a jump at this time at 2020. So, you know, give yourself some 2020 vision. I had to make that joke because I'm corny as shit. Where do you guys see yourself at this time next year?
Dead.
One of us will have at least died by alcohol poisoning.
Yeah.
Who's that one?
You.
Yeah,
Probably. I'm a Puerto Rican alcoholic.
Me personally, I think we'll have an album out one way or another, whether it's in our basement or in a studio. We'll have it out. Definitely be playing more than one show a month. And I think
Hit mad bitches.
yeah, mad bitches.
Shut the fuck up.
Women are fantastic.
Women don't exist.
There's
Conspiracy theory: women don't exist.
There's only one gender. Women are robots.
Oh Christ Almighty!
Yeah. I fucking hate women because they don't have dicks. God, I'm gay.
Oh God!
Fucking
Thomas, shut the fuck up.
And that's
Thomas,
what
you've already been revoked once from speaking privileges. I too am revoked.
I fucking love that joke. All right, Thomas, where do you see us?
Honestly, I actually do. One of three things is gonna happen. So I think we're either gonna be in the band and we're gonna be drilling it out like Gannon said. I'm gonna be dead. One of us is gonna be dead, which means the band will have disbanded, and I'll be joining the military. So those are the three options. Personally, I want the band to make it. I don't want one of us to die.
I hope not.
That, or I'm probably gonna die.
So you're saying the only way the band would ever not succeed is if one of us is dead?
Yeah, pretty much. That means I'd have to join the military because that's the only thing. That's my last resort.
Okay, I'm gonna give you a quick pro tip on that. Don't fucking die.
Yeah.
That's kind of tough when you're gonna die.
Well,
I'm not gonna like kill myself or anything. I've been told by a bunch of different signs that I'm gonna die in a car crash when I'm 18.
What? Shut up.
Wait, did you say scientists?
No. Like I like Gannon said, I'm pretty superstitious.
Thomas is pretty superstitious.
That's just how I am as a person. So like I see myself either with this band or dead when I'm 18. So one of the two is gonna happen.
So for me personally, I see this band. I see myself still in this band. I hope I'm in this band because God, I fucking love this band. I see the band having at least if it's not released by this time next year, being very close to releasing the new, the debut album. But I see us in a place where we can consistently get bigger and bigger shows, and we have a more dedicated following in Virginia, and maybe even more across the East Coast. Spread. I want the disease
And
of
Milwaukee.
hopefully. Fuck.
Once you guys get to Milwaukee, let me know, because I will definitely come and see that show. Whether it's, honestly, if you come to Milwaukee, if you go to Chicago, if you go to Madison, and maybe if you guys are in Minneapolis.
See, I want the disease of Trivial Difference to not only spread to all of Virginia, but I want it to spread all the way across the East Coast and eventually make its way to the West Coast.
We're a parasite. We're like a parasite that's good for your ears but bad for every other aspect.
We
of
will
your
kill
life.
you.
Trivial Difference will kill you.
It's just Plague Inc. on hard mode.
Yeah.
I was literally playing Plague Inc. the other day. I named the disease.
We're
TD.
not gonna get to Greenland, guys. We gotta beat Greenland.
Evan just threw his hat at Thomas.
Pretty much adding on to what Gannon said, just having an album out, playing shows, and just us, showing it and freaking just yeah.
Thank you, Evan. Very cool. All right, my plans for a year from now is to sell out and have everyone hate us.
I hope you're being sarcastic.
Yeah. All right. In all realism, I plan on to start really drilling on this album as soon as we stop touring, and then get that shit released before the end of spring next year, and start touring for that. Maybe hopping on to a bigger artist's tour.
Yeah. I could probably hook us. I'll talk to you about it later. But yeah, no, I'm on the same boat as Ian. I really want us.
Do you want to sell out?
Okay. I'm not on the same boat as Ian. Sarcastic.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat as Ian.
Let's auto-tune everything. Sell out, motherfucker.
Let's computerize everything. Fuck my job.
No, that's the thing I really like about the Toxic EP, is that it is not. There is virtually no enhancements.
Like no digital effect.
There's no digital enhancements. It's not like, okay, let's add a bass boost to this to make it sound chunkier.
There's some reverb on certain part of the vocals.
Well, that's just
reverb. But that we don't, it's all pretty raw. It's touched up to make it sound more clean, but it's all, it's all pretty raw.
and that's where we'll be next year.
Yes.
raw.
Yeah, I think hit it raw.
God damn it.
Not in her. Paid for her child support.
Oh,
Make her go on welfare.
Oh my god.
All right, let's calm down, motherfucker.
Yeah. So that's where we hope to be in a year from now.
All
The
right.
album is touring on during the summer.
All right, well, I'm going to hold you to that because, well, at this time next year, I'm going to want to have you guys on again and hear basically how your year was, and make sure no one died, and to also make sure that you guys are actually, hitting these where you see yourself in 2020.
Hit us
Because
up in 10 years, and I will tell you if Thomas's firstborn child is the
Chalupa
Skillet
Batman.
the
Oh, yeah.
Skillet
This-
podcast. Tuffman Bruno.
Yeah.
the second kid has to be Chalupa Batman, though.
Chalupa Batman, Huffman Bruno.
I just hit Thomas in the nuts, by the way, so he's not doing too good.
Oh fuck. He does this once a day. My children are gonna be retarded anyway, I guess.
Oh, god damn it.
All right. So
Mentally handicapped, they'll be mentally impaired. Thomas.
Yeah, they'll be mentally impaired. I didn't mean to say
Somewhere-
the word retarded.
I mean, retarded just means slow. It doesn't like
retardando.
retardando. Exactly.
Yeah.
the term.
Yeah.
They're gonna have Asperger's.
No.
No, I'm not joking.
You're just digging yourself a hole.
Gannon hits me in the
Thomas,
nuts.
you're
Gannon hits
Thomas,
me in
you're
the-
digging yourself into a fucking hole. Shut the fuck up.
He's been in a hole pretty much the whole entire time. I mean,
Pretty much.
I'm down in a hole. I'm a song by Alice in Chains.
just make sure that first kid is named the Skillet Podcast. That's really what I care about the most.
I'm writing it down as we speak.
Wait, what if it's a girl? Then do I name it Chalupa Pagre or whatever?
Chalupa Pagre.
Chalupa Batman.
Yeah, Chalupa Batman.
Chalupa Batgirl.
Yeah, I'll name her Chalupa Batgirl. And if it's a dude, I'll name him the Skillet Podcast. You can't try to hit me in the nuts again.
I honestly hope you do, because I really want to tell people that I was on a podcast. I told people about this thing, and then they said we were going to name our kid. I told them they have to name the kid, their firstborn kid, after this, and they actually did it, no matter how ridiculous it is. But if you guys are, a super huge band by that point, I mean, you'll have that like celebrity status to where you can come up with these wacky names that, everyone be like, oh, it's so cute.
Northwest.
Apple.
He's off of the child name.
Wait, what?
Would you get songwriting credit for that child's name?
Demon of Life. Demon of Life, Alexandria.
That's classified.
It's not even. That's a working title. Calm down.
It's classified.
Well, just put this way. It's a workshopping title. It could be. It couldn't be. Who knows? Just start generating some more buzz.
Find out one
Let's
year
stop
from now.
kicking ourselves in the nuts, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, Gannon, stop fucking hitting Thomas in the dick. We know you like his dick, but calm down.
Thank you, Michael.
Right.
I do lack me some dick every once in a while. To be honest. I'm not kidding.
It's 2019.
They
It's
laugh
okay.
at me for being homosexual, but
God damn it. Can we all just...
I'm kidding.
All
Every song is
Uncharted.
uncharted.
Really?
No.
I was about to say, like, really?
All right, guys, taking a look at it. Just I asked that. That was the last question I really wanted to ask. You guys got anything else you quickly want to talk about, or are you guys good and ready to get? Basically, I know it's 11 o'clock on your end right now when I'm shooting this.
Disclaimer, we just like to make fucked up jokes sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here's our shameless plug hour. Listen to our EP on all major platforms. Come see us live. And come and shank us.
Don't shank us. I don't want to die.
Yeah. So that's basically it.
Yeah,
Really
yeah.
quick,
Just
follow us on Instagram at
Trivial Difference.
Is it Trivial Difference Official or Trivial Difference?
Trivial Difference.
All right, yeah, at Trivial Difference. Subscribe to us on YouTube at Trivial Difference. Check out some of our live shows that we have uploaded there. Maybe stuff from the past couple months, not so much a year ago. God, don't check those out for the love of
All
God.
right, shut up, Michael.
Do you really want to?
I don't care.
don't worry, guys. I'll put links to all this stuff for you guys in the podcast description, so you guys can, so people can
You are
easily
fucking
find it.
incredible. Really quick, I want to thank you for being so open to allowing me, me just nonchalantly asking how does a band get onto the podcast, and you being so open to allowing us to be on the podcast.
Oh, dude, I absolutely love it. I love the fact because it's just sheer hustle at that point, because it's just you're on a live stream. There's not that many people that are on there. You have an easy chance to just get a one-on-one conversation, make it happen, shoot your shot. Because remember, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott, and you hit it. So there you go.
Honestly, thank you so much for thank you so much for responding to that. I was just kind of expecting it to kind of just be haha, funny, go away.
Just
No,
like
I
his other bandmates.
Ooh, thanks, Gannon.
Yeah,
Michael. I will later.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
All right, well, I absolutely loved having you guys on the podcast. This was an absolute blast. Especially, I'm gonna be thinking about those mosh pit stories the whole entire time, because when I go see, I think what's my next show that I'm going to see? I can actually really mosh at. Oh, when I go see Mice and Men. I'm gonna take some of these stories and remember them, and I'm gonna try and do some of the exact same things. Not rip the hair out of some chick. I'm just talking about just going and hitting people just for the fun of it, because it's a mosh pit. That's what you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You hit people. You don't kill people.
Exactly.
That guy would have died if he kept bleeding.
Oh my God. All right. Well, okay. Well, thank you for having us. We got to get to bed so we can practice tomorrow.
All right. Well, thanks for being on, guys. This was a real pleasure. I am still laughing at those mosh pit stories, and this was fantastic. So, thanks, guys.
No
We'll
problem.
catch you later.
Thank you so much.
All right, catch you later, guys.
Take care.
Take care. Alrighty, so that was Trivial Difference, a thrash metal band out of Alexandria, Virginia, and by that conversation, these guys are freaking hilarious. These guys just love, talking off the cuff, whatever they're gonna do, have a great time with it. Again, like I said, all their stuff's gonna be in the description of this podcast episode, because you can follow them if I can find it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, wherever. I'll put their Spotify link on there. I'm planning to talk with them probably again next year at this point, because I want to see what happens, because, then we can see what their 2020 vision, if it actually comes true. God, I keep making that corny gas joke, whatever. Okay, so with that being said, I've got really one more thing I want to go into, and that was this past week. We had a couple of we have albums that are coming out. We have a couple of new releases that were announced and a couple of new singles that came off of albums. Let's talk about the new release, and this one is a freaking big one. It happened on Friday, and I knew it was happening, I'll put it this way. And was it, did I have insider knowledge? No, they've been announcing that they had this announcement coming out the day before, and I'm like, yep, you know what it is. Alter Bridge coming out with their 6th album, I believe it's called Walk the Sky, and I'll put it this way. They haven't really released anything so far in it in terms of a single. I think that's coming in the next week or two. So, of course, when that single comes out, am I going to be talking about it on the podcast? Absolutely. If it comes out on like a Tuesday or a Wednesday, I'll do a special episode based on that one single specifically due to the fact that it's Alter Bridge. They're huge. Why not talk about Miles Kennedy and Mark Tremonti? If you hear those dishes, that's my roommate. He's washing dishes right now. So, again, this is total grassroots. So, yeah. But I'm looking forward to this Alter Bridge album, and if the music is anywhere close to what that album artwork is, we are in for one hell of an album. That is the best album artwork I've seen yet this year, and I don't think anyone's going to beat it. So I believe that album's coming out on October 18th, so our album review will be out the 22nd of October, because you better believe I'm reviewing Alter Bridge's new album. I would not miss it, because while I'm not necessarily big on the Alter Bridge sound as I am on other sounds, like I actually really liked the Tremonti project, but it's Tremonti. It's Miles Kennedy. It's Alter Bridge. You can't skip them. And could they have an album of the year potential? Well, that artwork is album of the year potential. We'll see if the rest of the album is. Okay, so the couple of songs that came out also this past week. Take a look at Volbeat with their Last Day Under the Sun single. I listened to it, and I'm not going to lie, I wasn't the biggest fan of it due to the fact that it kind of sounded a little soft in my opinion. But again, it does sound like Volbeat. The thing where I'm really kind of having trouble with Volbeat is the fact that their album's coming out on August 2nd, the same day as Skillet's new album, so that's going to be a tough one for me. Due to the fact that I really want to review both those bands and both those albums, but I think the Skillet one is going to have my attention a little bit more, and let me tell you why. So far, this new Skillet album, Victorious, the 3 singles, Legendary was the first one. That one just smacked, and I really enjoyed it. Then they came out with 2 more. The first one is Save Me. Now, Save Me, if you guys listen to it, listen to the intro, listen to the piano parts, does that not remind you like it's, sounds like Crawling by Linkin Park? It totally does. But then it gets in and it just still is heavy, and John Cooper just hits it hard again with the vocals. What really surprised me on this one is the lack of feature of Jen Ledger's vocals, but it does work where it kind of has a little bit more of a Fight the Fury sound, just a little bit pulled back, so it fits with that harder Skillet sound, and I do really like the song. I can see Skillet definitely going in that hard direction with influences from their Collide album off of stuff like Rebirthing and Comatose, really showing in here, and let me tell you, I am all for it. I really like this album so far. Even Anchor, even though Anchor is a much slower song and has a lot more of a Christian rock bass to it, which when it comes to that Christian rock bass, again, I've said this a number of times, I'm not the biggest fan of it due to the fact that when I was a kid, it kept getting pushed down my throat, kind of like, oh, listen to this, listen to this, listen to this. And of course, when you're a kid in middle school, at a Catholic middle school, and they're constantly pushing Christian rock down your throat because they think you like rock music, well, yeah, I like rock music, but if you keep pushing something down my throat that I'm not going to want to listen to, I'm going to rebel against it. And when I find something I really like that you dislike, I'm going to jump in on it hard. Thank you, Disturbed. I love you guys for that. And I told the story about, when I basically got yelled at for playing the Indestructible album in class. I thank you. But let's go to Anchor. It's a lot slower. It's a lot more melodic. It kind of reminds me of Watching for Comets on the band's Unleashed album. Man, my roommate is just continually doing dishes. But then again, that's what I get for having to do this grassroots style. So I hope you enjoy the grassroots style of it. Again, Anchor, it has that huge Christian overtone to it. Well, very focusing on, using Jesus as your anchor. And I get it coming from the band. They do still have that huge Christian rock bass. But when you listen to the song, you can really revolve yourself around and really, feel for it as well, due to the fact that you can really connect with it as well. Even if you're not Christian, you connect with, find the person in your life that really is your anchor, and it really does hit home. It hits you in the heart. So when I take a look at what Skillet's done so far, their first 3 singles off of the Victorious album, we've got 2 that smack, one that's very more melodic and soft and hard-hitting emotionally, but Skillet's coming out with something big, and I am not going to lie, I have put in a request to interview either John or Corey Cooper of Skillet on the Chord Progression podcast when they come to Milwaukee, Wisconsin for Summerfest. Their show is on July 6th. I know the band is based in Wisconsin. I'm not sure where. Actually, I kind of have an idea maybe where, but I'm not going to say where I think it is due to the fact that, I just want to make sure everything's still on the up and up and not really, say, hey, they think this is where they live. That's just not fun. And then I don't want, thinking that kind of stuff just because, well, if I tell people where I live, yeah, I'm not gonna give my exact address, but that's just the way it is. I'll tell them I live in Milwaukee though, for sure. But I really want to interview them, especially because they have this new album coming out, and I really want to talk to them about it. Plus, if I can interview them on the 6th, like phone call during the day, they got a show at night. Guess who's gonna see them? This guy. Hopefully this time I don't lose my shoes though. And then, maybe you never know. Maybe I can end up meeting them because they'll be in Milwaukee. You never know. But I really want to talk to them basically because, we got the Victorious album coming out, and I know it hits harder. Why I want to talk to John is because, well, John's the front man of the group. Really, a lot of the stuff is focusing around what he is doing. Why I want to talk to Corey Cooper is due to the fact that, especially on this album, I know John and Corey really produce exclusively, I believe, 7 out of the 12 tracks. I want to know which one of the tracks so far she has produced. And just what was the process of that like, due to the fact that it is very interesting when, you're trying to create an album and it's the members of the band that are playing music. Now, one of them is actually really producing it, given the fact that, take a look at what they're doing. Corey's producing music for both the Ledger Project and for Skillet. Jen Ledger's got the Ledger Project and drummer Skillet. Seth Morrison and John Cooper, they're doing the Fight the Fury side project together. This band is just all over the place. I really want to talk to them. I really do. Plus, they're based in Wisconsin. I know they're Brewers fans. So am I. We could talk baseball for a little bit, have some fun. Why not? Why not? So I'm hoping to talk to them, get a little bit more in there with the Victorious album, and we'll take it from there. But now, I think that's it for me. We had one hell of a show, guys. I am not going to lie. Talking with the guys from, from Trivial Difference. I can't believe it just completely spaced me. I'm talking with those guys. I had an absolute blast, especially recording this on a Saturday night. I had a blast. These guys are freaking hilarious. Loved the conversation. Loved it. And I hope to have them on again. Guys, this was fun. I'm loving doing these podcasts. These are absolutely great. I'm just going to keep doing them. Hope you guys are enjoying them. If you want to take a look for Trivial Differences, all their stuff, listen to just take a look at the podcast description because that's where you're going to find it all, along with all the My Song of the Day stuff as well. Wow, am I really just going off the handle here? I don't care. I'm going off the handle all the time. Ha! So, yeah, again, that's it for me. Trivial Difference, thank you guys for coming on out. You guys heard my thoughts on new music, and hopefully we can get Skillet on the podcast because that'd be just awesome. Really help gain a lot of notoriety. But then again, that's it for me. So, thanks for listening to another episode with us interviewing yet another band. This was fantastic. I cannot wait to interview my next band, but I don't know who that might be. Maybe I'll get one next week. Who knows? All right, this is Kevin from the My Song of the Day Rock 2000 Today presents the Chord Progression Podcast. And you guys know how I end everything. See ya.